Drop that heat.
So I made a new intro yesterday. It took up most of my time yesterday, and basically all I want to say right now is let me know in the comments what you think about it. If you think there are some changes that can be improved upon it, I'll take into consideration, and let me know if I should continue using it or if I should stop using it and I should go back to my old one. I'm really curious of what you think about it. Right now I really like it, and I also made an outro as well, and I really like that one as well. But of course, if you think there are improvements that can be done, let me know in the comments. If I should stop using them, let me know, and we'll see what changes. But regardless, we're here to talk about My Hero Academia, and this episode isn't really anything important. Not a lot of stuff happens, but a lot of plot stuff happens. So the beginning of the episode, obviously, we get the intro that seemingly everybody fucking likes. I did too. It seems to get better and better every single episode, but the beginning of the episode starts off with where we left off last week. And basically, Deku is in the hospital, and his arms got really fucked up against that fight when Muscular, and everyone in his class, is there, supporting him in his whole fucking state of misery, basically, right? Because he couldn't save his friend, and he's like really frustrated because of that, because he could have, but he didn't, and he couldn't. And it really fucked with him mentally, but physically, his arms is just they're completely fucking destroyed, as it seems like. But of course, because I forget like what her actual name is, but the healing lady, Miss Healing person. I fucking apologize for butchering names. I'm not good with names, I guess. But she comes in and she heals him, and we actually get a little bit more exposition about that as well. But Deku's just laying in his fucking hospital bed. He's fucking depressed, and then he's fucking depressed. But Kirishima then is asking him if he wants to go and rescue Bakugo. And then of course Tenya, from what we saw last week, he thinks that should just be left to the pros, because the reason why he thinks that is of what happened during season 2 with the whole Stain stuff that happened. He selfishly went after Stain because Stain went after his brother and almost essentially killed him. And we find out in this episode that he's not only just frustrated and worried about Bakugo, but he's really worried about in what some worse kind of state that he could potentially be in, which is Todoroki and Kirishima, because those two have already decided to go. And if Deku decides to go with them, then he can be in an even worse state than he already currently is, and he's really worried about that. And later in the episode, when he actually confronts them, he asked him, aren't you thinking about what I'm feeling? Do you not think I, don't care, or something like that? And it's a really heartfelt moment, because it's a moment between two friends who went through a lot of crap in the past, aka season 2, and had to go through all this shit during season 3, or the beginning of season 3, and then had to basically lose one of their classmates because they were kidnapped by a whole bunch of villains. So Todoroki and Kirishima, they're wondering if Deku's gonna go there, and then meanwhile all that happens, everyone leaves, and then Deku has to get exams from the doctors and everything, right? And then the doctor then explains that every single person's body has limiters in their body, which restrains them from using it from 80% of their maximum power, or just their power in general. And basically he exceeded that, and he got into some sort of state where he was in some kind of crisis situation where he was able, the limiters broke, and he was able to go through, he was able to use 100% of his power, and he basically called it a hysterical strength. Like whenever a mom lifts a car for her child, and real life stuff has happened, because of that. That's not an actual thing that happens just in the show. That actually happens in real life. There have been ridiculous feats that have happened before in the past in real life situations where people have, gone past their limits and have done ridiculous things. There's a video that Seth the Programmer made about, Deku and his 1,000,000%, one for all Delaware Detroit Smash. That's not the actual name itself, I don't think, but basically that, right? And he actually explains more in detail about that. And it's basically just hysterical strength, like whenever a mom lifts a car for a child. So that was basically the state that Deku was in the whole time as he was there, and his body just basically wore down, and his bones and his muscles are just completely destroyed. And basically he explains that if he does this like 2 or 3 more times, he's gonna have to live the rest of his life without his arms. So it's kind of insane. And Miss Recovery Girl, I think that's what or Recovery Girl, that's what her name is, right? Whatever. But the doctor calls her Miss Recovery, which I don't know why that was the case, but he explains that, unironically, of course, she scolds him even though he's basically unconscious, and he's gotten a lot of scoldings from her in the past, but he also gives him a note or a letter, and it's from Kota, and basically he's just thanking him through this letter because even in a dire situation that Deku was in, he acted like a true hero and he saved someone, and basically he just wants to thank him in person for doing what he did. And then the next scene after that, he was on the rooftop, and now he's back in his hospital bed. And now he's talking to his mom, and it's not really that important, but he's basically just talking to his mom. And it just seems like his mom doesn't want him to go to UA anymore, because of course any mom's gonna want to worry about their son, and whenever they're in such a crisis situation where their body is just completely destroyed, like how Deku's was. She just wonders if it's even worth it for him to even go there. She basically just wants him to stop what he's doing and basically quit his dreams. But before, I think in season 1, eventually she ended up encouraging him. And now she just wants him to stop, because if he continues to end up like this, where he's about to almost die or lose a fucking limb, then what's the point? So immediately afterwards, after that scene ends, basically, all like the top heroes are then called on. So All Might, Endeavor, Mountain Lady, I forget a couple other heroes' names, Gang Orca. Basically all the top heroes are basically called upon. Gran Torino, they're all called on, and they're gonna basically come up with a strategy, and that's what they say in the episode that actually happens. But after we see a whole montage of the top heroes trying to go and meet up together in a specific location, the next scene is a flashback, and Kirishima and Todoroki are asking them for obviously something that they can use to track down the Nomu that she had placed a tracking device on, right? And so it's in the middle of the night, because they had explained that they were gonna wait outside the hospital tonight or whatever, and Momo comes out, right? And then shockingly, Deku comes out, and he's right behind her, and they're about to leave, and then all of a sudden Tenya just shows up, and then he explains what I was talking about before in the beginning of the episode. And shockingly, he actually punches Deku in the face, which I was like, whoa, dude, I wasn't fucking expecting that. So yeah, of course, like I already explained in the beginning of the episode, he's really worried about his friends. He thinks that it should just be left up to the pros, and that they shouldn't be doing this. But of course, they know that they shouldn't be doing this because they're going after the League of Villains hideouts. So Todoroki then basically just explains that we're gonna go save Bakugo, but without fighting. And I'm just like, covert ops, sick, but that's probably not gonna work because this is a shonen anime. This doesn't work like that. So Tenya basically just then agrees to go along with them. Kirishima, Momo, Deku, Todoroki, and then Tenya goes along as well. So they get on a train, and then they go to a place that I can't remember what they called it. It doesn't really matter. And then we start getting a couple more scenes of the villains in the League of Villains hideout. And the entire time, all the UA like teachers and stuff and the heroes, they're all being criticized because they couldn't protect the students who are young. They don't really know how to protect themselves or use their quirks to their fullest extent against villains and shit like the Nomus and stuff. They don't know how to properly protect themselves, and it's up to the heroes to essentially look after them for the time being, considering that they're just trying to learn how to use their quirks more properly, how to, make them more powerful, etc., etc. The heroes are being criticized, and then a little bit later on, they get there to the place that they're supposed to be at, Deku and the others, and they're basically like, all right, because they know what we look like, let's disguise ourselves. And I'm just like, yeah, but you're not going to do like a montage of, outfit changes, right? And they do that. They have a little neat like montage of like them changing outfits and stuff. I guess it was neat. It wasn't really needed. I feel like that could have been cut out from the episode. And then on like a jumbotron, they showed those of the UA teachers apologizing for what happened. Everybody in the crowd who's watching it happen, they're all criticizing them. And then we go back immediately to the League of Villains hideouts. And Tomura, I believe that's what his name is explaining that, that's odd that, the heroes are being criticized and et cetera, et cetera. I can go on trying to explain, quote unquote, what he actually says. But then he actually tells Dabi to, loosen, or rather get rid of his restraints. And then he tells twice, the villain, that's his name actually, yes, it's kind of weird. He tells him to do it, and he does it. And then as one of them is explaining why the restraints were like the way they were, Bakugo fucking explodes. And quite literally he explodes. He uses his quirk. And he's explaining that he sat there quietly listening to their endless talking, and Tomura actually asked Bakugo if he liked winning, or he knows he likes winning. He's trying to come to my door. Go away. Right? And so Bakugo then explains, he says, yes, I like to win, but he wants to win like All Might. So basically what I got from that is Bakugo has got some sort of like an anti-hero kind of vibe going on right now. Like, it's kind of weird, right? So Bakugo seems like he'd be more fitting as a villain just based off of how his attitude is, how he speaks, how he sounds, and just kind of like his whole nature as just who he is in general, right? He seems more fitting to be a villain, but he's not. He doesn't want to be a villain. He wants to be a hero like All Might, and he wants to, do what he does similar to All Might, and you can't fault that. It's understandable. You gotta appreciate that he wants to be a good guy at least, because he could easily be one of the most dangerous villains of all time, it seems like, right? But regardless, the episode pretty much ends there. Tomura's about to fucking cry like a fucking baby, it seems like, and the episode just ends. So the episode looked really good. The writing was really good. I really liked it. There wasn't really any too particular that I was really looking out for in this episode, besides what they show us in the previews, right? So basically in the previews, I'm going to talk about the previews. If you don't want to hear about them, skip the video. That's the end of the video. I'll see you guys in the next one, whatever, right? But I'm talking about the previews right now, and basically in the previews, they show that Deku and the others, they follow where the tracking device, leads them, and it leads them to some sort of like factory location, right? And basically in the subtitles for when they speak, it's a factory of like Nomus, and basically I was wondering before, even in last week's episode, I was like, where do they think that it's gonna lead them? Like, there's no way like the Nomu that is being tracked by Momo is going back to the League of Villains hideout. It's definitely going somewhere else. It has to be, right? Turns out that's the case, and it's kind of weird. I'm more excited for next week's episode than I am for this week's episode. Not because, nothing of anything ordinary, happened, but just because something more interesting I know is going to come next week, and I'm more excited for that. This episode, regardless, was still really good. I really enjoyed it. It was written really well, and there was a couple moments that I actually really quite enjoyed, and, it was like the Tenya stuff when Deku was talking to him outside the hospital. I really liked that scene. I thought it was really good. So go watch the episode if you haven't already. It's really good. You can go ahead and click the link down in the description to go to Crunchyroll and sign up for a membership there, so you can go ahead and get all your anime needs whenever you need to. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video here. If you didn't enjoy, be sure to leave a like. And if you are new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button for more content just like this. I'll see you guys next one. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'm out. Peace.